Hi everyone, this is Alyssa with the BlueLink team, and in this video I'm going to show you how to make some basic edits using the adjustments menu of Photoshop CS6. So the first thing I want to show you is pretty basic but very important. To open a photo in Photoshop, right-click on the image, go to Open With, and select Photoshop CS6. The first thing you want to do for BlueLink team members is go up to File and select Save As and add an _ED to the end of the photo name to let the rest of the team know that this photo has been worked on. So the adjustments menu can be found in the top left corner. Go to Image, then Adjustments, and all of the options will appear. In our editing, we mostly use brightness and contrast, levels, exposure, vibrance, hue and saturation, and color balance. In our editing, all of these adjustments should be made before the background is removed. This ensures that the hue of the black that we fill the background with doesn't change, and it'll match the PowerPoint background when we go to add them in later. So for this particular image, I think it's looking a little dark and maybe a little yellow. So to fix these, we're going to use a combination of the tools that I just introduced. We can go back up to the adjustments menu, and we'll start with the brightness and contrast tool. All right, so since we want to brighten this image, we can start by moving this dial slightly up. You can see the entire image will brighten as I do this. So this might be a little too bright, so we'll take it back down. We can also increase the contrast just a bit to help some of the smaller vessels stand out down here. All right, make sure to hit OK when you're happy with your changes to apply them. Next, we'll go back to the adjustments menu and select the exposure option. And as you can see, increasing the exposure by small amounts can make some pretty big changes in the image. So this one is especially important to go slowly with. The first is going to the color balance menu and moving the dial so that the image is more in the blue range rather than the yellow. In this case, you can really see how the background hue changes as we make these edits. I'm also going to go up here and move this dial a bit away from the red as well. Something to note is that with these adjustments, once you hit OK, if you go back to the same menu, you can see that the dials reset themselves to 0. So if I wanted to go back to the original coloring for this image, I would have to move the dial towards the yellow rather than just moving it back to 0. The other way that we can take the yellow of this photo is if we go back to the adjustments menu, and then we click on the hue and saturation, and you see here where it says master. If you click on this and change it to the yellows, if we take the saturation down, it's going to desaturate only the yellow hues in the photo. One other thing to note is that these adjustment options are also available on the right-hand menu over here. The only difference between using these buttons rather than the adjustments menu is that when you click on them, it automatically opens a new layer for the adjustment. And I'm going to go into more detail on layers in a later video and explain why this feature can be useful for editing, but that is a possibility if you would prefer. The last thing that we're going to do during editing is to crop and rotate the image to get them as close to anatomical position as possible so they're easy to orient and understand for students. The crop tool can be found on the left-hand menu, and you can see that if you hover over the corner of the image, the mouse is going to turn into an arrow that allows you to rotate the image when you click and drag. It'll automatically crop the sides as you're working with this. This image is already oriented correctly, but we can take these edges in a bit to remove some of the excess background. After we're done, we can click this check mark to apply the changes, and then we finish the step of editing. That wraps up this video. Thanks for watching, and feel free to check out our channel for more tutorials and anatomy-based content.